Being invincible is a choice. And in today's episode, we'll hear from a world-renowned ultra cyclist who has made that choice for over 20 years since he was just 31 years old. Chris Hoppo Hopkinson is known for more than just his fun and colorful mohawks. He has 4 solo RAAM finishes to his name and a 5th being the virtual RAAM this year. He was the first British rider to complete the race across America in 2005 and is featured in the classic RAAM documentary Bicycle Dreams. Chris also has completed 86, 24, and 12-hour races, holds 26 world records, most records in Texas, 12 World Ultra Cycling Association World Titles, and was given the highest honor by WUCA as the 2015 Ultra Cyclist of Distinction. It's an honor to have him on the show today. Hold on tight, it's going to be a fun one. I'm your host, Justin Tu. Let's roll. Hey Ultra family, Justin Tu here, your host of the Ultra Cycling Show. Thanks for tuning in for another special episode today about everything ultra cycling and more. And who better but Chris Hopkinson. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, I've seen in different articles and writings the nickname Hoppo. Does that come from a totem from a specific race, or is that just a nickname that you've had for a long time?
Yeah, it's just a nickname from my surname, from Hopkinson. It's just short for Hoppo.
Cool.
Hoppo is just short for Hopkinson.
Yeah. No, I like it. Very cool. Now, do you have a totem from a race like Silver State 508 or Hoodoo 500 or something like that?
Well, in the 508, I did the 508 a long time ago, 2004 or 2005, I think.
Wow.
And my totem was Border Collie.
Ah. Now, what is that? What kind of animal is that?
It's a dog. It's a sheepdog. Border Collies are sheepdogs, yeah.
Oh, very cool. Now, in addition to that, I can't believe you did that race so many years ago. Can't believe it was even around back then. But in addition to that,
it definitely was. Yeah, Chris Kostman was running it at the time. After he'd become the youngest ever finisher of solo race across America.
And on that note, in a long list of your many accomplishments over how many years?
20 years this year.
All right, 20 years of ultra cycling. And I can't believe that actually seems like a short time given everything that you've accomplished. I do want to read out some of that. And I guess people might think it's strange that I'm saying some of that because it's really quite a list. But at the top of that list, 4 solo RAAM finishes. You've also done 39 24-hour races, winning 13 of them, which is incredible in itself. 47 12-hour races, winning 8 of those. You also hold most of the course records in the Texas Ultracycling community. You've also won 12 World Ultracycling Association World Titles, or WUCA. You also hold 26 world records. Geez, I need to catch my breath for a second. 2015, you also received the Ultra Cyclist of Distinction Award from WUCA. You might be the only European. You've also won the Texas Ultra Cup in 2014. You've won the No Country for Old Men 1,000-mile TT, right? NCOM in 2014. That was in 71 hours and 58 minutes, as well as a variety of other 6, 12, and 24-hour races all around the world. And if that wasn't enough, even before you were doing all of that, you also completed 2 Ironmans. You've also done 6 Snowdonia mountain marathons, the London Marathon, 9 50-mile round Rotterdam trail runs, Great North Half Marathon twice, and 6 other half marathons. So I guess the first question, the only right question to ask, Chris, is what have you not done?
Well, I'm not sure. I wasn't quite expecting that question. I don't know. I haven't found something I haven't done yet. Otherwise, I'd do it.
Oh, excellent. Okay, Chris, before we dive into all of that and more, and really get to know who Chris Hoppo Hopkinson really is and how you got started, let's start with a quick sprint round of questions, just a series of questions that we'll ask to get to know you in a nutshell. You could answer in a few sentences. So you've already discussed that you've been bicycling and doing ultracycling for 20 years. How many bicycles do you currently own?
I currently now. Do you count the Wahoo Smart Bike as a bicycle?
Totally. If you're pedaling on it.
Right. At the moment, I own 4 bicycles.
Cool. Which is your favorite of those?
The Spiegel Diablo. I'm currently sponsored by Spiegel, and it is just a stunning time trial bike.
Excellent. I'm surprised you didn't say the Wahoo indoor trainer, given all the indoor miles you do.
Yes. Yeah, I only got that in May before the virtual race across America. That's quite a new addition.
Right, and we didn't even include. Well, is that one of the 4 solo RAAM finishes?
No, that's yeah, that wasn't a real race across America. I don't count that in with my real race across America, because if you're going to count that, that's 5.
Oh, okay, excellent. Well, I think that's in a category of its own.
Yeah,
can't believe you did that. We'll have to dive into that. Now, how many virtual miles have you done this year?
How many virtual miles have I done this year? I don't know, because they've all been lumped together on my Strava. Apart from the races I've done in Guernsey, all my miles this year have been virtual. So I usually do 95% of my training is virtual, and then probably 5% is riding outdoors, and also all my racing is usually outdoors. This year with COVID-19, the situation has been a little bit different, because I've done quite a bit of racing indoors, which I never normally do. And obviously there's been very little racing outdoors, but there has been racing in Guernsey outdoors, because we've been COVID-free for about 4 months now. So the time trial season here has been carrying on as normal, but over here we've only got 10-mile and 25-mile time trials, with obviously with the island being so small. I mean, we're basically 6 miles by 4 miles, so quite a small island.
Yeah, so to do any kind of ultra event there, you'd have to do 100 laps.
Yeah, I think there's only ever been 2 ultra events here. One was when I came here. I did a 12-hour record attempt round a go-kart track, which I had surveyed. And I did 972 laps of this track.
Holy cow.
In 12 hours. Yeah, and got very dizzy. And also last year I was the 3rd person ever to do an actual Everest up the Val de Terres here in Guernsey. And I Everested here.
Wow. Well, add that to the list of accomplishments. I do want to scan through here as we continue with our sprint round of questions, just to give people a sense of not only the events that you've done, but the awesome photography that you've had. What bicycle computer do you use, Chris? Garmin? Wahoo?
Yeah, I'm using a Garmin 810. A great friend of mine called Ed Nielsen owns a shop called Vive la Velo, which when I was living in the UK, they used to sponsor me. And we got together because I think it was 2013. I was struggling with the Edge 800, and I was having some massive problems just before the race across America. And he helped me out by sending me a Edge 810, which he replaced the 800 with. And yeah, our relationship grew from there, and he sponsored me for 3-4 years, and until I moved out here.
Ah, very cool. Okay.
And the shot's amazing. And he's a lovely guy.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Very cool.
Yeah.
A lot of support. I'm sure that helps with all that you've done. Now, when it comes to training or even racing, do you bother with things like power or heart rate?
I never used to. Up till I would say 2012, I didn't really much even bother with heart rate. Everything I did pre 2012 was all done just by feel. No heart rate, no power, nothing. And as I say, when I did the British Best All Rounder and came seventh in that in 2001, I did 267 miles for a 12 hour, 3 hours, 41 minutes, 39 seconds for a 100-mile time trial. And I did 1:51:39 for a 50-mile time trial. So I was quite happy going by feel. Since 2012, then I started using the heart rate monitor, and then I got onto Garmin, onto Strava quite late, and came to Strava in 2014, which is possibly why I've only got 206,000 kilometers on Strava.
Incredible. And for those time trials, which is the one that you got just about 26 miles per hour on, right? In your average speed?
Nearly 26 miles an hour was the average between the best all-rounder competition is the average of the three averages between a 12-hour, 100-mile and 50 miles. And you take the average from those three races, and it's the average of the three averages. And that was nearly 26 mile an hour, because my 100-mile time trial, 3 hours, 41 minutes, was, I think, about 27.3 miles an hour average.
Wow, incredible. So not only are you an ultra cyclist, but you're a very fast one.
I'm not so fast since I had my accident in 2001 after I'd done that British Best All-Rounder. I lost a little bit of speed then.
Yeah, and we did see that photo there at the end. We'll get back to that. Let's finish up our sprint round of questions, and then we can dive into that and more. What's your favorite ride snack, Chris?
Ooh, that's believe it or not, I have asked on a couple of solo race across Americas. You tend to get cravings, usually like pregnant ladies, and mine seems to be KFC. So I've sent my crew off to find KFC at various points along race across America.
Oh, that sounds good. Now, how much can you eat while you're doing RAAM? I mean, you're eating a whole bucket of chicken before you get back?
Oh, as much as you want. I tend to use between 12 to 15,000 calories a day. So yeah.
Incredible.
For someone like me that really enjoys eating more than most things, it's a dream.
Well, I'll tell you this much: you're not only the first British ultra cyclist, but you're the first ultra cyclist on the show to say KFC. So you get an award for that one.
Could I have a bucket of hot wings for that then, please?
Oh yeah, if I can share in that with you. I love those hot wings. Okay, what's your favorite ride hydration, Chris?
Right, well, I'm sponsored by Talk Nutrition, and they do a wonderful range of flavors, actually. I prefer their pink grapefruit flavor. That's my favorite, because it's quite sour. It's quite, it keeps your mouth alive.
Yeah, very unique flavor. Sounds good. Okay, after a long, hard ride like the virtual RAAM, perhaps, or even the normal RAAM, what's one of your favorite post-ride meals?
Ooh, post-ride meals. I would say, fish and chip. A British one for you. Fish chips and mushy peas.
Delicious. Yeah, sounds good. But I'd imagine you'd have to eat quite a lot of that after something like the Race Across America.
Yeah, I just wanted to go to sleep after that, actually.
Okay, when was your last long ride and how long was it?
My last long ride must have been the virtual race across America. Do you mean outdoors or indoors?
Oh, either.
Yeah, right. I've done two long rides this year, indoors. Obviously, the policy that Guernsey have used, there's no travelling off island at the moment at all. So I've not been able to get to, while some races in some countries have started up again, I've not been able to get to any racing whatsoever this year. So my two long races this year have been virtual race across Europe and virtual race across America.
Wow. Interesting. Incredible restrictions. Hope those ease up soon for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to have a normal, well, as I say, I am hoping to have a normal season next season. We'll have to see how that goes. I was very pleased with this year, though. It got me fit. I got down to my racing weight quite easily. I won the overall by quite a large margin in the virtual race across Europe, and I won my age group in the virtual race across America.
Incredible! Big congratulations on that. I think that's a huge achievement, especially riding virtually. Now, Chris, you do seem to be on the taller end of ultra riders. How tall are you?
I'm exactly 6 foot.
Ah, okay.
183 centimeters.
Excellent. So do you prefer climbs, descent, rollers, or flats then?
Flats, definitely. I'm a heavy ultra rider. The lightest I get is about 76 kilos.
All right.
My ideal race weight is 76 kilos, or if you prefer, of course, living in America, if you prefer pounds, that's 168 pounds.
Right. Okay. Now, is that before or after the KFC?
Definitely before.
I see. Okay. So how about downhill then? Are you pretty comfortable going fast? Do you know what your max speed downhill has been before?
Yes, I did over 70, about 75 in 75 miles an hour, that is, in the Furnish 508.
Holy cow.
But unfortunately, then, at that point, I wasn't using Garmin, I wasn't using Strava. And you know how the saying goes, if it's not on Garmin, it didn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you check out my Garmin record for No Country for Old Men, 1,000-mile TT, that has 64 miles an hour, so just over 100 kph on that Strava file. So that definitely did happen.
Wow. Okay. So you definitely have the balls for that. Now, 64, that's just about tied with Marco Ballo's, I believe, and one other. It was around 64, 65 on the show. But if we had the 74, maybe we could somehow scrape it out of something. Maybe a satellite was tracking you in space. Then that'll definitely be by far the fastest.
I was actually enjoying it and having a bit of a giggle because I could hear the support crew. The support crew were behind me and they were screeching around the corners coming down Towns Pass into Death Valley.
Wow.
And there was the cop car behind the support crew following them, also screeching around the corner, and they were all having problems keeping up.
Incredible, Chris.
And funnily enough, you mentioned Marco Ballo. It was him I was chasing.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Because he was in that one. He was Tweety Bird. He won the race.
I see. A little fun cat and mouse there. Okay, now Chris, when do you enjoy riding the most? Which season? Fall, winter, spring, or summer?
Summer.
All right. So you like the heat?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the heat. I have no problems in the heat whatsoever. I do struggle in the cold.
Interesting. Okay. How about time of day that you prefer riding?
Ooh, no preferable time of day really. All the time. I do prefer training in the morning before I go to work. If I'm working, definitely I prefer riding in the morning. But if I'm riding or racing all day, not a problem.
Okay. Excellent. So you still are working, but in between all of that, you're able to squeeze in a whole lot of ultra racing as well. Incredible.
Yes. I do work full time, and I've got a young family.
Oh, all right. Kids, how old?
Right, Connor is 12. He's currently trying to copy me. He's riding the virtual race across Europe and trying to raise money for Sea Cadets, and that's Guernsey Sea Cadets and Guernsey Sailing Trust.
Incredible.
And he's currently just over 2,420 miles in.
Wow, that's
he's got
inspiring.
about 530 miles left to go, and I think that's fantastic for a 12-year-old.
Yeah. Now, are these your kids here?
Yeah, that's Connor there, just between me and Jenny, and Lucy, who isn't that small anymore. Lucy's 10. Yeah, this photo was from RAAM 2013.
Wow. Okay.
And that was just after I was one of only a couple of people that finished solo race across America, then got down on one knee at the finish line and proposed to Jenny.
Wow. All right.
With the kids.
Incredible.
And that photo's there, actually. You may wonder why I'm down on one knee.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I'll try to find that photo to show everybody. But in the meantime, I want to know, what are your thoughts about ultracycling? Does it require more physical or mental training?
I think you can only be physically fit up to a certain level. After that, it goes to mental fortitude after that. A lot of ultracycling, I believe, is a mental game.
And I'm sure you have a lot of that training and experience, not just through your ultracycling, but you were also in the British Army, right?
Yes, that's correct. There's the photo.
Wow. Excellent. So 7 years ago.
Yes, June 2013.
Now, how difficult was it for you to get down on a knee and to get back up after?
Funnily enough, that year, I was fine. If you've seen the documentary Bicycle Dreams, I wasn't fine after my first RAAM finish in 2005.
Right.
I was a little bit of a mess. But I'd realised what might go wrong. So obviously, the second time's got to be easier. The second time I was trying to exercise my demons and come away at the end fit and healthy and not falling apart, and I managed that, and I felt fine at the end, actually.
Oh, excellent. No, great to hear. Okay, last sprint round question here for you, Chris. You've done a lot of ultra events. Is there one in particular that's your favorite?
Yeah, No Country for Old Men.
Out in Texas.
Without a shadow of a doubt, the best performance I've ever done on a bike.
Okay. Now, I'd imagine you also like the course.
Yes, the course. I would say yes, to a point. I'm not a fan of hills. There's a lot of hills. If you look at I think I sent you the photo of the Strava file of my No Country for Old Men. Not with those photos you've got now, but I think I sent it you a week or so ago on your last show. And it was on there. I think the climbing for No Country for Old Men was about 39,500 feet.
Wow.
So no, I'm not a fan of the climbing. And Jenny's description of the No Country for Old Men course was like Kansas with hills.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's very descriptive. And for those who have done the race across America, either as a racer or a crew member, they'll definitely know what you mean.
But certainly, I'm not convinced I could ever top that performance, which is why that course record of 71 hours 58 minutes still is the course record.
Right, right. Now, what was it about that race or that time, that season, you were in just such great form?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that
Hmm.
because I can guess at the answer. If I remember correctly, I was chasing Valerio Zamboni for the World Cup win.
Ah,
Um, and I'd done every race I could think of. I'd done race across America. I'd had my best finish. I was very competitive in the race across America that year, and I'd finished the solo RAAM in 10 days.
wow.
I'd also won the
Incredible.
Euro Aerobic trophy that year for the hardest stage of RAAM.
Hmm.
Then I'd gone on and I'd done Race Around Ireland as well. And I'd gone from Race Around Ireland to the Texas time trials and done the 500 there. And I was in I'd got so many miles in my legs and so many racing miles that I was in great form, and my body just rebounded, and for some reason everything fell right.
That's awesome.
You know, one of those strange times when everything falls into place and it just
Right.
went well. I was competing for with a really excellent cyclist called Scott Lukehart, who was he was from Texas, and he was an ex-pro rider.
Ah,
And I was competing with him in the hills for the lead of NOCOM. And it was going to be either me or him. And eventually he actually went out and had to go to hospital with dehydration and kidney problem.
wow.
And Jenny, my fiance, said it took a while to pull me back that night to get me hydrated again, because we'd gone at it tooth and nail. And then when he dropped out, I'd got such a lead that she just had to get me hydrated again and keep me going, and we were sorted.
Wow, awesome. Sounds like some fierce competition and really one
Yeah,
for the books. And glad you were able to have such a stellar performance there. Now, you
thank you.
did mention your competitor there was an ex-pro cyclist. Now, I want to go back into your history and your start as a cyclist. And that I'd imagine you did not have a professional cycling background. And although you did in back in the day, you were a part of the British Army. And in
Yeah.
fact, Princess Diana here pictured with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this
Well,
ultra cycling years?
yeah, this was way before I even dreamt of ultra cycling. I was in a regiment called the 1318th Royal Hussars in the cavalry in the UK. I joined straight from school, and I spent 10 years in the British Army. This was after I'd served in the first Gulf War. I was in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait when we liberated Kuwait. I was a medic on the front line, and I received three medals in the Gulf War.
Incredible. I'm sure you learned a lot through that in the way of discipline, physically, mentally. You had a lot of experiences. Perhaps that was setting the stage for a very long and successful ultra cycling career.
Quite possibly, because I mean, people have said to me, "Aren't you scared lining up on the beginning of race across America?"
Hmm.
And the answer is quite simply no, because all I've got to do is cycle a bike.
Mm.
I went into Iraq and Kuwait thinking I possibly wouldn't be returning home.
Wow. Mm.
So, I mean, compared to that, riding a bike's easy.
Yeah, that's definitely some perspective for all of us who do not have that same experience. Now, after you left the army in 1994, am I correct that you started actually teaching music and you were
Yes.
playing in a variety of orchestras? Why don't you tell us about that? That seems quite unique.
Yeah. Well, I was a musician in the army, and
Ah,
our second job in the time of war, we were a medic. So obviously, I was a medic in the Gulf War, but I was a musician for the regimental band, the 1318th Royal Hussars. and I was principal clarinet. So the natural thing for me when I decided that I was going to leave the army in 1994 was to get into the local scene and teach, which I did. I went and did the job interview and became a teacher, and started playing in various pit orchestras and for local shows and whatever, and amateur dramatic performances and things like that. Any bands I could get into.
Wow, incredible. So a whole other side of Chris Hoppo Hopkinson. Who would have thought? And do you still manage to play these days?
Yes, I do. I play for the Guernsey Symphony Orchestra. I actually came over to Guernsey as a music teacher, although I only came over here for a 1-year maternity cover. When we decided we loved the island so much that we were going to stay here, you need a work permit to live on Guernsey. And my far better half, Jenny, works for health and social care here, which came with a job permit. So she's got the permit for us to live on the island now after my maternity cover finished. And I'm just finding various other jobs to do to help pay the bills.
That's awesome, Chris. Great story. Very cool. Glad you have a great partner there with you and a beautiful family to keep you company. I'm sure they keep you busy in between everything else that you do.
Oh, yes.
Now, I want to get back to the beginning. So after all of that, you had a very colorful history there in the army and background. You were teaching music, playing music. But then tell us about your driving license incident and how you ended up actually getting a bicycle aged 31.
Yeah. In 1998, I got my first bicycle in, I think it was October the 23rd. And what it was, obviously, with playing in various different bands and for various shows, I was dashing between my day job, which was a teacher, and obviously my evening job, which was the musician. And I had a very heavy right foot because there's not enough hours in the day. So I had to get quickly to and from each other. Obviously, it was too quickly for the likes of some people. I got too many points on my license, and I knew I was going to be losing my license. So the night before I did, I went and bought my first bike because I decided, obviously, to get around my schools to teach, I was going to require some other mode of transport, and I always try and turn a negative into a positive.
Incredible. So you got your bicycle. You were 31 years old already. You didn't have a professional bicycling background, but that was the start of everything, which is the last 20 odd years. Then in, let's see, 1999, you got your driving license back, but you continued cycling, right? And you started by doing cycling, charity cycling events, and
yeah. I didn't actually touch a car again for must be about 4 or 5 years, I think.
Wow, incredible. So you started cycling then. Tell us about some of those first events you did as part of the Matlock Cycling Club. You did a TT there, then you went on to do a 12-hour TT as well, 12-hour race.
Yeah, I went along to my first ever 10-mile time trial, and it was the same evening a friend of mine called Richard Soday also went along to his first. I was in trainers and jeans, and he was in boots and jeans, and neither of us knew what we were doing at all. And I think I got a 27-minute 10-mile time trial, and I think he did 28 minutes in his boots.
Wow.
And if you look at the photos I've sent you, there is one of me and Richard, actually not that many years later, but quite a few years later, riding in the National 24-Hour Championship on the tandem together.
I
think that was in 2006 we did that. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
2006. And we did 473 miles.
And it looks like you guys are having a stellar time together.
Yeah, yeah. We had, during the night, I seem to remember I had speakers on the top of my helmet, and we had
Wow.
some heavy rock going along.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
it was.
that's an awesome photo and a good memory. Very beautiful bike as well. And it seems to be matching both of you.
Yeah, well, that was in memory of a friend of mine called Zach Carr, very talented British time trialist. That was actually his tandem bike that we used because I was supposed to be originally riding with him.
Mm.
We were going to actually do the race across America on tandem, but he was killed training for it.
Wow.
And so we did that 24-hour in his memory.
That's excellent. Incredible. So you
Yeah,
did a variety of races, and that was kind of your beginnings into ultra cycling. You did
yeah,
also mention that you've done very fast time trials, the 100-mile TT as well, the 50-mile. But
yeah.
then tell us about what had happened when you had an accident riding home from teaching.
Yes, I was at a school in Radcliffe-on-Trent, the other side of Nottingham. And I was probably only doing 14, 15 miles an hour at the time. And I was going over a bridge near the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham.
Hmm.
And my rear wheel fell into an expansion rail that had been poorly maintained. And it slapped me down on my side and smashed my hip to pieces. I didn't know how bad it was. I tried to stand up, and my leg just gave way. They ended up treating me for 2 hours at the scene on the road in the middle of rush hour traffic that I was holding up for 2 hours. And then they took me to hospital, and I was operated on for 14 hours because
Wow.
originally they wanted to replace my hip because it was in that bad a state.
Hmm.
And I managed to persuade them. I told them what I did and the cycling that I did, and managed to persuade them to mend what was there. And they did mend it around 3 6-inch screws, which I think you've also got a photo of. And they said there was a 1 to 2% chance of possibly of it mending. And I might never walk again. And I said, but never mind walk. I want to ride my bike. I want to race again.
Hmm.
And they said there was absolutely no chance of that whatsoever. It'd
Wow.
be lucky if it could walk again. And those screws apparently were going to be in for life.
Wow. Incredible. But yet, in the summer of 2002, you completed the UK Half Ironman, and then you went on to also compete in the 24-hour national championship.
Yeah, totally against doctor's orders. And I got in trouble with Professor Chris Moran, who was the guy who mended it. But eventually, he came round to my way of thinking. Where do I start? Yes, the Ironman. I did that to prove I was going to walk again. That was sort of a thing in my mind because I'm no good at swimming. I'm not that brilliant or fast at running either. But I wanted to do it just to prove I could. So I managed that. Then I went and entered the National 24-Hour Championship, and you can enter as a team. And I got 3 people entered in the team that I raced for, Pete Reed Racing, and we were going for the team prize. We got about 13 hours in. I was doing really well, very happy with my ride. Then my front wheel in the night went down a grate, and I went over the handlebars and landed on my hip again, and it reopened the fracture.
Oh, no.
And I didn't know also it chipped a bone in my elbow. It broke my elbow.
Wow.
And they ordered an ambulance, and I said I wasn't going to go in the ambulance, and I made them put me back on my bike.
Oh my God.
I did another 161 miles, that year, and in the ride, and we actually won the national team championship medals. The team sort of carried me up to the podium to go and collect it because I couldn't walk afterwards.
Oh my goodness. That is
And
insane, Chris.
I couldn't find the photo for you because I've got a lovely photo with me with the rest of the team with my national championship medal and covered in blood.
Oh, wow. So broken elbow, damaged hip, yet you still got back on the bike. You kept going.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys won that. That's incredible.
You mentioned about mental fortitude, and the one thing I've done throughout the whole of my 20 years, and that I'm known for, is that I have never DNF'd a race.
Incredible.
Ever.
Wow.
I've finished a race with a fractured skull, broken ribs, broken elbows. Obviously the broken leg. I do not stop. I don't recommend this to anybody else whatsoever. Do what I say, don't do what I do. I don't quit. I always finish.
Yeah, that's incredible in itself, and what an achievement just with that mental fortitude. But where did that come from? Was that from the army? Something else in your upbringing?
I think it's me. That's why I don't recommend it to anybody else whatsoever. It's something in my head. Maybe it's OCD, maybe I'm slightly up the autistic scale. I don't know. But I think if I do quit, that will be the beginning of the end.
Wow.
And I just don't. I don't quit. I don't stop. I don't give in.
Yeah. And you've been at it for 20 years. You've had all kinds of adventures. You've had all kinds of crashes and broken bones, but yet you're still going strong as ever, right? And after all of that, isn't it true that you recovered so well that the screws were actually taken out?
That's correct. As I say, what had happened when I did when I refractured the brake in that 24-hour, up to that point, I think the repair and the growth of the repair had halted. It had slowed down and stopped. And then I obviously had to go to hospital and get checked out the morning after I'd finished that 24. And I told the professor what had happened. I suffered his wrath. He checked that everything was still in place, and it was, but it had reopened the fracture slightly, and that seemed to stimulate the growth again. And then within the next 6 months or so, it repaired so well that he decided that he was going to do a second operation and remove the 3 screws that were in for life. And he did that, removed them, and then it's repaired so that you really can't tell that there's any problems. And 19 years later, I'm here, and I'm so lucky, really, that I had one of the best surgeons there was in the UK at the time, because I've had no issues whatsoever with my hip at all. I get no pain from it. I've had no problems with it in 19 years now.
Wow. That's incredible. And not only that, but after that, just to show everyone you could, again, in the spirit of Chris Hopkinson, you completed 2 Ironmans. You did a variety of marathons, including the 6 Snowdonia mountain marathons, the London Marathon, 9 50-mile trail runs, the Great North Half Marathon twice, and 6 other half marathons. And so that's all with running, very high impact, very hard on your legs, your hips, but yet you did all of that.
Yeah. The way I've done it, I've always sort of done my cycling season and then done a run at the end, just to strengthen things up, to make sure that my joints and bones are still strong.
Wow. That's great. So a little bit of cross training there. So you definitely believe in that, and that's awesome. And through so many years, that's an incredible commitment in itself. And I'm glad that your hip is doing really well and you're going stronger than ever. Looking forward to seeing what else is coming up in the years to come. So going back now to your first race across America. So it was 2003 that you discovered the race. You participated in 2004, right? But your
No,
first
2005. I
2005.
qualified in 2004.
Ah, okay. And tell me about how that went, your very first RAAM.
Oh my goodness. Everything that could go wrong did. There was a very nice man at Race Across America called Bob Breedlove. Very experienced RAM rider. He'd done many transcontinental crossings. And when we were signing up for Race Across America, he asked me to come and have a chat with him. We started talking, and I went to his hotel room, and we had a long talk about how to survive through the desert, because he realised I'd never done that before, and he helped me understand what I was facing and told me how to get through it. And he was spot on. Everything he said was right, and he helped me, as far as I'm concerned, he helped me survive my first Race Across America. He gave me a Team Breedlove t-shirt, which I've still got, and every now and again on special occasions I wear my Team Breedlove t-shirt from Dr. Bob, who always had a smile, and his favourite saying was, it's another day in paradise. Lovely man. And unfortunately, halfway through that race, I passed him on the road under a blanket because he died during the race.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very tragic. Sorry for your loss, but it sounds like an incredible man that has left a lasting legacy and impression on you, and has definitely helped you in the last 19 years of your ultra cycling career.
Yeah. On every, I speak to Gretchen Breedlove, who's Bob's widow, and I'm in touch with her and the family, because every Race Across America now, I stop at the memorial en route, just coming out of the Rockies.
Wow.
And leave something at his memorial at roadside. I take time out to do that. It doesn't matter whether I've not got any time, or whether I'm racing, or whether I'm trying to get a good time. I stop there and I leave something. And every year I've seen, I think you've got a photo that every year there's the stuff from the year before still there. One year I left a bottle. The next year I left a Team Hoppo t-shirt, because I did say to Bob in the hotel room that I would send him a Team Hoppo t-shirt, because he'd given me the Team Breedlove t-shirt. And I never got to give him that t-shirt. Well, I did. I left one by the side of his memorial.
Wow.
And it's still there, because the year after that, I went back and it was still there. I think you've got that photo as well, actually.
Incredible. Well, definitely a touching story and an inspiration. And it's incredible how people can leave such a lasting impression on us, even so many years later. But just incredible that you continue to honor and memorialize him every time you're going across. That really shows.
It's a lovely man.
Incredible. So you did that RAAM, 2005, your first successful solo RAAM with the help of Dr. Bob. And that was also the year that the classic RAAM documentary Bicycle Dreams was captured. So that must have been fun for you during the race, but all these years later, do you find yourself watching that on occasion?
Oh, definitely. And it's the film. People always wonder if I make any money out of the film, and the answer is quite simply no. I actually had to pay $500 to get a cameraman in my team vehicles. We had to pay for the cameraman, but the film has done me so much good. I decided to make an impact that year and become the first Brit to ever finish solo RAAM, which I did. But I also decided that I wanted to get noticed. And that year, I had a coloured mohawk. I wore a coloured mohawk. And my rear disc on my wheel was in red, white and blue for the Stars and Stripes, and it said "Kiss my ass" on it. So those two things were there to get me noticed, and because of the film Bicycle Dreams, it worked so well that when I'd met Jenny, shortly after, let me reverse a little bit. Shortly after I'd done my first race across America, I had a break from cycling between 2007 and 2011. I'd spent so much money on RAAM and done what I wanted to do that I decided that I wasn't going to race anymore abroad. And it was only when I met Jenny and she said she wanted to see me race, and I said that there was only one race I wanted to do, and that had to be race across America.
Wow.
She said, right, let's get the equipment, let's get you sorted, and let's get you over there.
Incredible.
And on my first race back was the Texas time trials, 24-hour in, when was it, 2012.
Wow.
And just before that, Bicycle Dreams had just come out, and it was getting rave reviews. It was winning all the film festival awards over there, and we turned up to Texas time trials, and I'd purposely gone back with my with another coloured mohawk, and I'd got the same disc wheel. And Jenny couldn't believe it because there were people wanting to have the photo taken with me. I had like a mini fan club in Texas, and ever since that's always been the way. My original disc from cycling all those years ago has obviously I've worn it out, but here. Just get this. I have a new version.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it took off so well that yeah, that's how it all started. Now, if I don't turn up to a race with my mohawk, there's the original disc. Yes, excellent.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. You know how to have fun, Chris.
If you're not enjoying what you do, why are you doing it? Always got to enjoy it. There's no point in doing something and spending all your life complaining about it. You've got to enjoy and believe in what you're doing, and I do every minute.
Yeah, so very true. Now, what gives you the most enjoyment about ultra cycling? You've been at it for 20 years. You've done so much in that time. It's not like you just did one event every year and took a couple years break and got back. I mean, you've really been at it full speed ahead, and it doesn't seem like there's any slowing you down.
Not at the moment. I have got the most wonderful bike sponsor in Spiegel now, Team Spiegel, and they actually sponsor me and Marco Ballo that you were talking about. His name pops up again. And we both ride and are sponsored by Spiegel, who are incredibly supportive. And I've got an array. Well, we're also both sponsored by Infinity bike seats. And I'm also sponsored by Wheel Science. And now with that sort of sponsorship behind me, for the first time, I'm not struggling with any equipment to do any races. Yeah, Marco and I have been together really a long time racing. I was first inspired in 2004. There we go. On the right there, you've got Jure Robic, me in the middle, and Marco Ballo on the left. Now, I was first inspired by Jure and Marco in a 24-hour in Thies, Austria. And in 2006, I raced with both those. That was the start line in 2006. And I did my best ever 24 with 522.5 miles.
Wow.
Marco, I was inspired by Marco to try and be as good as him. And now we're both racing for Team Spiegel.
That's so cool.
We may have something quite surprising in the offing in 2022.
All right, something to look forward to.
Yeah, maybe. As I say, I've got such support from Spiegel, and it looks as if Guernsey Wooden Spoon, the charity over here, it looks like Marco and I might be riding for Guernsey Wooden Spoon. I'm still trying to confirm the details, but it may be the case that we end up riding two-man RAAM in 2022, raising funds for Guernsey Wooden Spoon and supported by them to ride two-man RAAM.
Incredible. That'll be a great show for all of us to watch. I hope that all the details can come together and we can have a really fast two-person team.
Well, it'd be a great way to spend the summer doing Race Across America with Marco. Definitely, that would be one thing that has been on my bucket list for a long time. You're asking what is left to do. Now, I've raced against Marco many times, and we've both done the Race Across America. We've both got multiple finishes at the Race Across America and multiple WUCA titles. To actually race with him at the Race Across America, I think that will be something special. And to do it on the same bikes as Team Spiegel, especially when the Spiegel bikes are the official bike of the Race Across America.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That is going to be very special then.
I think it would be very, very cool.
Oh, awesome. So we'll be cheering for you guys and hoping that all of those details could come together for a very exciting 2022. Now, I see this interesting photo. Was this from a RAAM? Tell me about what's going on here.
Yeah, what's going on here? This is 2017. This is my fourth solo RAAM finish. My fourth solo RAAM was horrendous. My best one, as I say, I had a really competitive one in 2014. 2017 was awful. I started off with a chest infection, which only appeared the day before the start. I ended up on medicine for my chest infection from the beginning. That was at the top of that was at the summit of Wolf Creek Pass.
Wow.
At 10,000 feet, and it wasn't anything to do with the altitude. It wasn't altitude sickness. It was the fact that I still couldn't breathe because I was having this medicine for my chest infection.
Wow.
So it was just a case of thank goodness I'm at the top. Let me have a break.
I see. Nice.
Yeah.
I hope you also got a bucket of chicken. You deserved it after all that.
Yeah, there was no chicken up there as well.
Oh,
and you know what? There's no KFC on Guernsey. That's awful.
Oh my goodness. What on earth is keeping you there then?
The fact that the island is like paradise. It's an amazing place.
Excellent. Now, how is the bicycling community on that small island, and especially when it comes to other ultra cyclists? Any other ones there?
Extremely talented bicycling community. Guernsey Velo Club is excellent. There's some very, very high level racing here. Obviously, we compete in the Island Games and also the Commonwealth Games, but only short distance. Most of the guys on this island are all short distance. There is one other guy called Paul Jackson. He's done 12 hours and 24 hours in the UK. He's very, very fast. He's a great rider. And he's also gone and done the race across Italy. which is a 500-mile race.
Wow.
But he's not gone over 500 miles. His wife, Karina Bowie Jackson, she is on the board of the of Guernsey Velo Club, the cycling club, and she's an amazing cyclist herself. But as I say, Paul Jackson's probably the only one that does anything ultra-wise.
Interesting. Well, very cool. Now, talking about fast, this photo looks incredibly fast. It must have been the 75 miles per hour downhill. We didn't get a Garmin file, but we have the photo.
No, that's just it. I'm not that. That's a 10-mile time trial on Guernsey.
Yeah.
That's the
cool.
island, and that's on the coast road. And
Looks beautiful.
I've never been much faster than about 25.5 mile an hour average on this one.
Oh, that's very fast, and a very beautiful Spiegel bike there we see.
That is the Spiegel Diablo. That's gorgeous. Yeah.
So there in Guernsey, are you competing in a lot of the shorter time trials then on a regular occasion?
Yes, I find them very good training, and basically that's the only outdoor time trials I've been able to do this year.
Okay, very interesting. Now, on the subject of training, what does that look like for Chris Hopkinson?
Ooh, training. I lead a 200k ride on Swift for the SAS Cycling Club. SAS are Spin and Sprint, or Saints and Sinners, cycling club on Swift. And I lead a 200k ride on Sundays at 5 a.m. in the morning local time here. And I also lead a 100k ride on Saturday mornings, also starting 5 a.m. local time.
Okay, cool. Now, do you find yourself doing many structured workouts to work on, FTP or power, anything like that?
Yes, yeah, I do a bit of coaching as well. I've got, that's another different thing that's happening next year. I coach a guy called Russ Kesley. Now he's getting ready to do Race Across America in 2021.
Oh wow, exciting!
And I'm going to see solo RAAM from another side because I'm going to be crew chief.
Wow, nice. Is that going to be your first time?
First time as crew chief, yes.
Very exciting. Okay, so at least we'll have you here stateside.
Oh yes.
That's awesome. Will you come with your mohawk?
Yes, I'm also going to come with my bike because I'm going to come in time to get on the bike before RAAM and go and race my favourite race.
Okay, which is?
24 Hours in the Canyon. I think you've got a picture of that one. I used to hold the course record for that one.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I'll look for that photo, but on the subject of Zwift and this photo here, looks like we have a world record 2018. Why don't you tell us about this? What's going on?
Yes, yeah, that was that's the Swift distance world record. Yeah, it's 2,202.3 miles. That was a lot of hours. That was 143 hours and 35 minutes. So it's 25 minutes under 6 days.
Wow, incredible. Now, I mean, how did that even come about? What made you want to do something that insane indoor?
Probably my insanity. First of all, I wanted to go for the Swift distance record. That was my third attempt. My first attempt, at first, when I came to Swift, the distance record was 1,005 miles. So I did a ride on, now I think it was on Watopia Flat, and I did 1,006 miles, which took, I can't remember how long, not sure how long, but I did 1,006 miles. It was somewhere between 2 and 3 days. Did 1,006 miles, so I took the distance record. But then a friend of mine called Jasmine Muller came along, and she did 1,000. I can't remember how many miles she did now. I should have looked this up. She did. I'm sure she did about 1,600 miles, something like that.
Wow.
So I had to then get on and do a second attempt and get it back.
Oh my goodness.
So I did 1,942 miles. No, 1,952 miles. And retook the record back. And that was I think in 2017. And then just for the hell of it in 2018, because no one had attacked my 1,952 miles, I then went and did 2,202.3 in a faster time. And that one in 2018, the whole thing was live streamed by Swift.
Wow, very cool.
Themselves. Yeah, the famous, the one and only Johnny Noblet came round to my garage in North Yorkshire at that point, set up a laptop to live stream me, and Swift live streamed that one.
That's really cool, but insane that you would come back and do that again. I think most of us would attempt that one time, and whether or not we achieve it, we would call it a day for at least a number of years. But you just had to come back and best yourself.
I just wanted to put it on the shelf because a lot of other people have done long rides on Swift. I think somebody simulated a RAAM ride on Swift a bit back, but they obviously did it as a PR event and slept during the nights for 2, 3, 4 hours. Mine was a non-stop record attempt. I used the World Ultracycling Association rules for indoor trainer challenges, and I think the rules are you can have, I think it's 5 minutes per hour after 2 hours, and an extra 20 minutes rest per 6 hours, I think it is. Wow. But I mean, I did the first 2 days straight, then just had 20-minute power naps. So basically did the whole thing non-stop.
Amazing. So would you say you're quite comfortable now, and then even if somebody were to best that, you would let them have it for a while?
Yeah, I'm not really fussed with any more distance record attempts. I think that 2,202 miles proved a point. I've really got nothing further on that score to prove at all.
Yeah, I mean, after all that you've done and have accomplished so many events on multiple occasions, even a variety of world records, what on earth is there left to do for Chris Hopkinson? I mean, what's keeping you ticking? What's still on your radar? And what are you going towards?
I think now I'm at the point where I'm satisfied with everything that I've done. Definitely keeping me ticking is the idea of doing this two-man RAAM. Actually, I've had the idea for a while, and there is no one I would rather race with than Marco Ballo, because he was an inspiration for me to get into ultra distance time trialing after seeing him and Jure Robic racing the 24-hour in Austria in 2004, 5 and 6. And I've since then, obviously, things in ultracycling have gone, I would say, fairly well for me. I think there would be nothing better to cap it off than to do that two-man RAAM in 2022.
That's awesome. So when all is said and done, what do you want to be known for as an ultra cyclist?
Never giving in. Always being positive, always seeing the positive, and never giving in.
That's really great. And it sounds like from everything that we've heard today, that your whole life really, and especially your ultra cycling career, has definitely epitomized that.
Yeah. Spiegel bikes have a really good saying, actually. Being invincible is a choice.
Incredible. Very true. Words of wisdom that we could all embrace and adapt into our own lives and our goals and ambitions. So tell me, after you're all satisfied with your ultra cycling, you have a little extra free time. What do you see yourself doing with the time that you have off the bike?
Oh, goodness. When I finish cycling, well, my son is very talented at sailing, and
Ah,
we've just bought a boat, and obviously living on a very small island, getting to and from the other Channel Islands is quite handy to have a boat. So yeah, bit of sailing. I wouldn't mind actually learning how to sail myself.
hmm. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
All right, then maybe in 2022 you could sail to the U.S. to the starting line of your
I
two-person RAAM.
don't think it's going to happen in my little 24-foot yacht.
All right. Well, that sounds like a cool hobby, and glad you could do so much with your son and your family. And it's incredible that they could support you so well through the years. And of course, this year the pandemic hadn't slowed you down at all. You got first place there, virtual race across America, and the virtual race across Europe. Wow, incredible. You think you would ever do that again in a virtual setting?
Um, the race across America, no, that was a one-off. That's something I don't want to do again. No. Um, it ended up, I believe, being way too much climbing. I believe the route ought to have been tested out beforehand. And I thought there was way too much climbing. There was far more climbing in that than there actually is in the real race across America.
Oh.
I think it was equivalent, the climbing was equivalent in the 12 days to 8.5 Everests.
Mm,
Um,
incredible.
yeah, all climbing and very little going down. In the race across America, if you go up, you get a chance to go down the mountains, you go up.
Right, right.
Which, as you were talking about descending, I really enjoy the descending.
Mm,
Yeah, and I'm quite good at it,
mm.
especially the technical descents. There wasn't any of that, or very little of it, in the virtual race across America. It was all up and very little down.
Yeah, and as they said, definitely a lot of mental miles, almost 250,000 feet of
Yeah,
climbing. So that must have been a huge challenge in itself. But I suppose with somebody with your experience, with your mental fortitude, you were able to accomplish that. Whereas perhaps for somebody that is more novice or a rookie RAM rider or a rookie ultra rider, that would be very difficult to do, especially once you realize how much climbing was actually involved in that.
there were some very, very good riders in that who hadn't actually ridden RAM,
Hmm.
and who I thought ought to. A guy called Lindsay McRae, great rider. He's not ridden RAM yet, and
Hmm.
yet he did fantastically.
Hmm.
Um, Suzuki, Hirokazu Suzuki. I'm hoping he can go back and do RAM, because he's an incredibly talented guy. Um,
Hmm.
there were some really good riders on VRAM.
Hmm. Very interesting that something like that could attract so many strong riders. You would think that people would steer clear of those kind of things. I mean, it's such a huge undertaking, such a big
Yeah.
challenge. But I suppose when you do open it up to the whole world and it's so easily accessible, then all of a sudden other riders are able to participate. Whereas coming to the US for the actual Race Across America, it's quite a challenge in itself, right? Just the logistics, the cost of those details.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I mean, if, as you say, if you open it up to the whole world, you are going to get good, strong riders like that. And it's a good way of discovering new riders who haven't done the race itself yet.
Hmm.
Yeah, because some riders are obviously put off with the money aspect of funding Race Across America, because it is incredibly, as many people have said, the biggest battle is actually getting to the start line,
Right.
which is very. it's very, very true. I would hate to even imagine how much money I've spent on Race Across America and racing in America, because a lot of the time it's been all the money I earn and more, and all I can borrow, scrape, save, and put together. And yeah, it's taken so much money. Luckily, I'm in the position, as I say now, equipment sponsors and possible support in 2022 from the Guernsey Wooden Spoon. I won't have to worry about the getting to the start line aspect, hopefully. And the whole point of RAAM 2022, apart from racing it with Marco Ballo and doing the best we can do, the main aim of that RAAM in 2022 will be raising money for the Guernsey Wooden Spoon and to pay them back for hopefully the faith they will be having in us as a team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Must be a great way to be able to use all of your experience and your achievements and your capabilities to support such a great cause, and really excited for that to be able to happen for you. And so we'll be following very closely, Chris. Now, I do have a few final questions. First one is, what do you think in all your years of experience now that most people don't realize about ultracycling?
I think what you were saying about the fact that most of it is mental. It's your mental attitude. If you don't have the correct mental attitude when you're starting, you're going to be beaten before you even start.
That's so true. So what would you tell a cyclist or non-cyclist who's interested in getting started with ultracycling? What are some of the top tips you would give them?
Do your homework, train hard, and decide that you're never going to give in. Because if you start giving in, there's no point. If you're going to give in easily, there's no point in starting in the first place. So you've got to go at everything with a positive attitude and be determined to succeed.
Great tips.
Train hard, race easy.
That sounds nice, actually. Perhaps if we could all adopt those principles, we can do all that Chris Hoppo Hopkinson has done. Well, we'll see. Perhaps your son or daughter will best you and all of the records you hold and all of the achievements you've accomplished.
Yes, my daughter's a dancer. She's going to do it in the dancing world.
Very cool. Well, if she's anything like you, I'm sure she'll go very far with that. So, Chris, it's been a real pleasure. Have a few sprint to the finish line questions to end on a fun note with you. But it's been a real pleasure to at least have you on the show for the first time. Really get to know you, dissect your background, your history, and for us to be able to appreciate who you are as a person and what has made you the ultra cyclist that you are, which is definitely a world-renowned, highly accomplished ultra cyclist. So we appreciate your time and the time that you've taken to share that with us. But to end on a fun note, want to know, when is your next long ride and how long do you anticipate that to be?
I believe my next long ride, my next long race will be my favorite 24 hours in the canyon, and it will be on the first weekend in June.
Oh, very cool. All right.
And
where
Paulo
is that actually?
Canyon.
Where is that?
Paulo de Oro Canyon near Amarillo in Texas.
Ah, I see. Okay, very good. You'll have to bike over here to California to visit us. Sure, that'll be a nice cool down afterward.
Well, I should be bringing it over to California for the start of Solo Race Across America the following week, because I should be crew chiefing.
Oh, that's right. Oh, awesome. Very cool. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. Okay, Chris, how would you rate yourself in terms of bicycle maintenance on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being excellent. You know, cleaning, maintaining, changing out all the parts.
Yeah, about 3/4.
3/4 to 10, or you literally 3/4 of one?
No, 3/4, yeah, 0.75.
Wow. I mean, you do so many miles. I guess you have some really good bicycle mechanics there on the island of Guernsey.
Yes, yes. And one of them's not me.
That's so crazy. Well, I'd imagine you do definitely need a big team and a very good team to do all that you've done, and you can't do everything yourself. And just everything you do on the bike is a lot, and great that you could focus on that.
I've got so many good friends that I've met and have in America, and immediately I know if I was asked to do RAAM next week, immediately I would be on the phone to Omar Mir for my technical side of things, for all computer stuff and whatever. He was excellent on my crew in 2017. It'd be Charlie Ollinger because he was on my no-com team. And I've got so many people and network over there now, and I know exactly who I would want on my team.
Ah, awesome. Very cool. Okay, Chris, final question. Who would you want to nominate for a future episode on the show? A story that you think is worth sharing, or a story that you just don't know much about and you would love to know more yourself?
Ooh, now, I think I would like to nominate a guy called Scott Anderson. Now, Scott Anderson is in charge of the Texas 1 Hour Cycling Club. And he's like a brother over there in Texas of mine. He's helped me with so many races in Texas. We got to know each other at the Texas Time Trials, where he let me share the Team 1 Hour tent and sort of crew from there. And David Shorters and his other half, Dawn, helped crew me for the Texas Time Trials, and then they go to all the ones like the 24 Hours in the Canyon. They've been to NOCOM. They go around all the Texas races, Bessie's Creek, all the ones that I've done. And the team has always helped me. Scott has always got me to stay with him in the hotels. Now we always go together, and we always share a bottle of Shiner Bock at the end. And we always have a beer together. And I think Scott Anderson has got so much to tell from the ultra cycling scene, and much that I would like to know more about, because obviously he's been doing it with the 1 Hour team for years. So Scott Anderson.
Oh, very cool. Sounds like a great friend and a great member of the Ultracycling family. Well, Chris, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you, learning about your story, and being able to share this with all of the Ultracycling family. I'm sure everybody will get a lot out of this episode, a lot of inspiration and tips and tricks for their own ultracycling careers and ambitions. On a final note, I did want to point out the awesome pain cave that you have, which you're sitting in right now, right?
I've got I'm in my nice comfy leather chair, and yes, this is the pain cave.
Very cool.
This is the let's show you around.
Oh,
there's my cabinets.
Yeah, ton of achievements.
And there's the awards on the wall. There's the bikes.
Wow, nice.
And the screen. There's my Swift setup, and
cool.
There's looking out onto the patio. I usually on warm days I pull the patio door open and away I go.
Nice. Now we see where all the magic happens. So, well, thanks for the private tour of your pain cave. I hope people will get some inspiration, not just from your ultra cycling and all your training and your KFC nutrition, but also maybe some inspiration for their own pain cave. So thanks a lot.
I'm not sponsored by KFC. It's Talk Nutrition I use.
Right. Well, Chris, thanks again. It's been a real pleasure. We appreciate you taking the time out of your, what I'm sure is a very busy schedule. And I hope you can get some good rest in if you're done cycling for the day. And we'll see you out on the roads, hopefully very soon. But until then, on the interroads of Zwift and Watopia.
Really nice talking to you. And thank you very much for having me.
All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Chris Hoppo Hopkinson. I hope you got a lot of inspiration from this. And we hope to see him here in the US for Race Across America with Marco Ballo in 2022. So let's cheer him on. And until then, guys, keep spinning Ultra.